May banana pho.
Oh, May banana pho. That's a good one.
That's not a very good one.
No, it's
We're
not.
just chilling by some bananas at a truck stop, where all the trucks stop, at one of the most dangerous roads here that we've ever ridden on. We call it Weixian Lu, which means danger road.
Yeah, I mean, you've got trucks barreling past at breakneck speed, and
A lot of accidents usually.
I've seen quite a few fatalities on this road.
Me too. It's actually one of the only roads that I consistently see dead people on, which is not funny actually. I apologize. No. But we're talking about what would you do in that situation? What would a lot of Chinese people do in that situation? Well, they would reply with a word or a phrase called "mei ban fa," which means you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, basically no method.
Right.
Or
no way around it.
No way around it, yeah.
Something like that. But there's, you know, it seems kind of stupid and weird to talk about one phrase in Chinese, but it's so tantamount and so important to Chinese culture, you guys have to understand. So wish us luck. We're going to be riding through this shit and talking about Mei ban fa because it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and we really want Mei ban fa. We actually have no other way to get to where we're going except on this road. So,
very true.
Good example of saying Mei ban fa.
Mei ban fa.
We have to put up with this crap, so let's go. Let's hit the road and let's do this.
I'm rolling, right?
Yep. How about me?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's square all my shit away. Okay. Oh, thanks. I was wondering what was wrong. Something is missing. Now I know.
Naked hand. My hand is too comfortable.
One glove, one fart.
You always sing the Bob Marley thing.
Yeah.
And I always sing the U2 version.
Oh, I hate U2.
It's not a version. It's like a. Yeah, there's always.
Okay, wait for the silver car. That bus might overtake the truck, so let's just go.
I'll just stay on the side for a little while.
Yeah.
Looks like someone died there. Anyway,
okay.
Mei ban fa. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. Now, in the last episode, if you haven't seen it, it might be a little bit imperative to go watch it.
Yeah,
we talked about what? We talked about avoiding confrontation.
Yes, avoiding confrontation.
Now, avoiding confrontation comes from and stems from. It's kind of a symptom of a culture that we call Mei ban fa. There's no way.
Yeah.
Now, this is actually bizarrely one of the first things I learned in Chinese, and the reason is that I thought it sounded kind of funny. Whenever I heard in my first English teaching job all of the CTs or Chinese teachers in there using it all the time. So I asked my little Chinese teacher helper, right?
Yeah.
So what is this Mei ban fa? Mei ban fa. What does that mean? It sounds so weird, you know?
Yeah.
I was thinking of like banthas from Star Wars or something. Anyway, I was very, very surprised to find out it meant there's nothing you can do about it, because that's not something you say all the time in English.
Yeah.
That's really when there's no solution, right?
Yes, no solution at all.
Whereas this phrase in Chinese is being used literally about everything.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no chicken left, so we can only have rice and beans today, right?
Yeah.
In the kitchen, this would often happen where the chef wouldn't have, you know, the food that they have on the menu every day.
Right.
At our school, so they would say, "Ah, mei ban fa," and then no one would do anything about it. There was no complaints. No one was like, "Come on, I'm really disappointed." Everyone's like, "Yeah, mei ban fa, there's nothing you can do about it."
Yeah.
And this like kind of rollover attitude I actually found kind of cool in the beginning, because it meant that no one was really responsible.
Yeah.
And that was this avoiding responsibility thing, was this weird kind of free-for-all. So like I could be late to work, even though I wasn't, but I could be late to work and be like, "Ah, mei ban fa, it's not that big of a deal, you know?"
Sure.
The clock runs on mei ban fa. The people's attitude runs on mei ban fa. If a kid is being naughty in class, it's not my fault. It's mei ban fa, dude.
Yeah,
Nothing
exactly.
I can do about it, you know? This whole attitude runs the entire country. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's just so common.
Right.
And the thing is, there always is a ban fa. You know, there is always
there is
a way. I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
I met up with the iPhone guy. You know, that Scotty Allen from Strange Parts. Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, we met him the other day.
I met up with him in Huajian Bay. I got a little bit of footage. He was actually being interviewed by Engadget, and the dude from Engadget, also really nice guy. He's from Hong Kong. Well, he's from the sort of Asian Engadget.
Gotcha. What's up?
Let's not try to overtake there.
Whoa!
Yeah, seriously. Oh, thread the needle. Okay.
Don't open your door.
That's a big truck, sorry. Okay, so
hell.
he had forgotten to bring his laptop.
Yeah.
And so, come on. he had filmed a whole bunch and he'd filled up his SD cards, okay, and there were no SD cards around, so I just arrived and I said, well, hey, here, you can use the SD card out of my camera. I'm just going to need it, you know, and then I'll send you the files later.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. And he filmed this thing that he needed to film for like 20 minutes, and then he gave me the SD card back. And then I put it in my camera, and his camera had been recording in NTSC and my camera records in PAL.
Right.
So I put it into my camera gave me a warning. It's like, well, you need to format this card in order to use it. So I'm like, hey, look, we're gonna have to make a plan to get your files off of this SD card because I need to use it, you know.
Right.
So it's like, oh man, what are we gonna do? And you know, there's all these, like, everyone's panicking, nobody knows what we're gonna do. I said, well, come with me and we'll make a plan. So we went into the electronic market over there, and I found just a random stall where these guys sell like ICs and, you know, that kind of thing. And they have a whole bunch of laptops there that they just use for taking orders and things, right?
Yeah.
So I asked them in Chinese, and I said, because I saw that their laptops had SD card readers on them, right? So, you know,
Right.
there's no getting around it. You can't lie. I can see it's there. What is going on? Watch out. Must be something going on.
Remember they tipped over a truck over here that one time?
Oh, look, he's got a phone call. It's
Oh, so he pulled
probably a
over.
police checkpoint up ahead, and so they're like,
Yeah.
we're not allowed to be bringing
A weighing station.
our piece of crap trucks
Or
on this
meth.
road. Yeah. Anyway, to get back to the story. So I went up to them and asked them, hey guys, sorry to bother you, but could you help us to copy the files of this SD card onto another SD card? Because we dug up another one that Scotty had. He had a spare, you know, 128 gig one, and he's
Right.
like, I'll give this to you. You can just buy me a new one later or something. Right. So I asked them, hey, could you just help us copy this to there? And they're like, at first they look at me and they're like, no, our computers can't do that. You know, Meibang
Right.
basically. I said, no, look, you've got an SD card reader, and I point to it. It's like, you can. And then he's like, speaks to the guy next to him, and he's like, yeah, you know, he wants to copy SD cards, and the guy's like, nah, Meibang, you know, we can't do it. Literally said Meibang. And so I explained very clearly in Chinese, look, all we want to do is use your computer. If you let us use it for just a minute, all I need to do is copy the files from this SD card and then copy them onto this SD card.
Yeah.
And then he's like umming and ahhing, and then the guy behind him was like, fine, just let them use the laptop, you know.
Right. That's
Because-
a very Chinese process, is
I mean,
that
the
hemming
thing
and
is,
hawing.
it's a simple thing. I'm asking for a favor. They can say no. They
Right.
can say
Just
no.
say no, it's fine.
But I'm being friendly, and it's a very simple thing. It's not going to put them out.
Right.
And so eventually, and they started with Meibang, and finally they were like, oh, okay, no problem. You know, and then we did
Right.
it. We copied it. It was done, and I was, thank you very much, guys. Super appreciate it, you know. I asked them if I should pay them anything. You know, of course I didn't have to. They're like, no, it's okay, fine.
Right.
And they were just sitting around eating their lunch and stuff anyway.
course.
So, I mean, and there's a good example of this Mei Banfa attitude when there actually is always a Banfa. They just don't want to get off their ass and do it. You know what I mean?
Now, your specific example is pretty eye-opening for this kind of stuff. I'm going to go over two examples, and one is a positive and one's a negative. I'm going to start with a negative, okay?
Okay.
The apathy, right?
Yeah.
One of the negatives it causes is actually, I'm going to say, a cancer, a poison
Yeah.
in Chinese society, because what happens is you'll get people in positions of power or people that have jobs that they shouldn't have, right?
Right.
And it's all because of a system that's trying to change, but no one has the gumption or drive to want to change it. So I went to get some documents translated a couple years ago.
Right.
And the woman, I have a lot of graduates, of students I taught at university. They have really good English level, obviously, and
Yeah.
they don't get these positions. These are positions they fight for. They want the iron rice bowl. They want that government stipend. They want that job, right?
Yeah.
This woman here probably had the job for 10 years now, and she didn't speak a lick of English,
Right.
and then mistranslated all the documents, so they were rejected by the US government. So I go back, and I'm pretty angry, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just Mei Banfa, right? It's not a big deal. Now, Mei Banfa didn't just cause the mistranslation of the documents. Mei Banfa got her that job.
Right.
Because the nepotism that was involved, even though it's not fair and even though it's not legal to acquire a job like that,
Yeah.
that's how it happened, and no one's willing to do anything about it, right?
Sure.
Now, Mei Banfa gets pretty scary when you look at doctors and the medical system here, because Mei Banfa will allow things like fake pharmaceuticals to infiltrate hospitals and become a mainstay amongst, you know, pharmacies and things like this.
Yes.
Mei Banfa will allow for food scandals that, you know, poison children. Mei
Yes.
Banfa is basically a cancer from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
And to weed it out, it requires Banfa, or requires someone to have the drive to do so, and that's just not to be found, right? So
Yeah.
there's the negative. The positive is actually a personal example. It's kind of funny. As you know, I worked at a university, right?
Yeah.
I was teaching
Professor
computer.
Tai.
Professor Tai, you know, that's what they call me. Very respected professor. Not. Anyway, I was working in the computer science
Watch
department.
out, this guy's speeding up to match you.
Of course he is. Fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't keep up with a 125, you little dick.
Yeah, come on, what's wrong with you?
Anyway, the fact that I had that, I'll be the first person to admit, the fact that I had this job was bloody ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because for all intents and purposes, I mean, you have people in China that are killing for jobs like these, right?
Right.
And it's much better if they're going to be taught in Chinese, especially these students that don't even speak English, right? But they wanted someone to teach in English about programming to these students, and everyone knows my programming is terrible.
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
suck at programming. I studied it, but like I'm really bad, and I'm sure there's tons of qualified people that can do it a lot better than me, right? But why did I get this job? Well, one thing, it was, you know, for face, so they could have a foreigner in their department. But Mei Banfa, the positive here, comes down to this, and the funding for that department in the computer science department
Yeah.
was drying up.
Right.
They had to lay off a bunch of teachers, not just me, like almost everyone. They could have like 3 programming teachers and then a couple other like you know, digital logic type teachers. They're running out of cash.
Okay, gotcha.
And the university, because they put most of their money into the fashion department, didn't think it was worth it, right?
Right.
So I was watching some of my Chinese colleagues. They were either getting shuffled around to different departments, or they're actually losing their jobs.
Sure.
And I thought this was kind of bizarre, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm next. Now, thankfully, I didn't actually need the job.
Yeah.
I got to the point where for a year, I was teaching 2 hours a week
Wow.
at full salary, with
Wow.
full benefits and everything. Actually, more than a lot of the other people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm barely teaching, and they didn't have the balls. My boss, who's like a double PhD, didn't have the balls to come up to me and say you lost your job. Now, he had to eventually tell the other Chinese professors, right?
Yeah.
What ended up happening is I just floated for a year on 2 hours a week, and then finally he tried to pass the buck, and we talk about this, right?
Yeah.
Pass the buck to the secretary. She's like, yeah, I don't know if this is gonna work out, blah blah blah, but she has no power to do anything, so I just pretend like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Still getting salary, still rolling through. No, if no one has the balls to tell me I don't have a job or not to come, I'm still gonna stay on the payroll, bro.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So eventually he had to like call me into the office and be like, you know, blah blah blah, but he basically didn't say anything. He had to bring in another professor and be like, listen, we don't have enough positions. And I basically stayed at that job for like 3 years doing almost nothing.
It's crazy.
And that's Mei Banfa.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
Mei
benefit.
Banfa. They just don't have a way to like bring it up. But that also goes back to our avoiding
does.
confrontation,
They're
doesn't
avoiding
it?
confrontation. They don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Nothing they can do. Leave them alone.
Yeah, no, this can actually get incredibly frustrating if you're looking for something specific.
Right. Right.
You know, like when you know, we got to tell everyone we keep getting asked about our motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
Our motorcycle shop is currently closed,
Right.
and that is because we're moving it at the moment. Once again, we didn't have a choice because the village we were in, you know, they're basically going to demolish it and put
Right.
new high rises and stuff. So they told us we Mei Banfa.
Because we were
had
only
to,
renting.
Yeah, we Mei Banfa. We had to leave. So we've, you know, stored all our tools away and stuff, and we're just waiting for the right time to open up again. Anyway, when I was going out to find specific tools or specific screws or bolts or whatever, you know, you go to a hardware store, and I'm like, I'm looking for this, and they said Mayo, you know,
Mayo.
just
Mayo is
Mayo.
the first response to everything.
Yeah, it's like, don't have Mayo.
Even
but
if
then,
they have it.
But then I'll see it over there. I'll see what I'm looking for. I'm like, yo, and I'll like point to it, and they're like, oh, you mean this? Okay. But they'll just very quickly jump to the whole Mayo thing just to kind of avoid having to do something.
I feel like a lot of people are going to think, oh, well then just don't go. I don't need to go to a construction store. This is everything.
Yes.
Every time I go try to find something, especially in smaller towns, if you're asking for something specific, the gut instinct, the first reaction is to say Mayo. We don't have it.
Yeah, dude.
For everything.
It's especially if they just don't want to deal with you because they maybe they're afraid that, you know, that you're not going to understand them, or it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a pain in the ass to try and deal with you. Watch out.
I've actually had I've had people, I've spoken to Chinese to them, and they're like, oh, well, I don't understand.
Be like, I don't understand English or something.
Yeah, they're like, oh, 我不懂他说什么. Like, I don't understand what he's saying. I'm like, I just fucking spoke Chinese, dude.
I know, exactly. It's so silly.
Anyway,
so,
that's
I mean,
没办法.
That's exactly what it is. So we've touched on it. I think we pretty much covered it.
For sure.
It's kind of like an apathy here that you just have to work past. And you know, but it's not that the people are bad or trying to shirk responsibility.
It's a very Asian indirect thing.
It's just the way it is. And very often, all you need to do is kind of keep pestering them, you know what I mean?
That's the way to get anything done.
So it's like, oh, Mea Banfa, I say, okay, how about I do this? And then they're like, oh, yeah, maybe, you know.
Right.
So you've got to suggest what to do. You've got to tell them what to do.
Right.
You know, like it's happened with so many things with me. I just want a little thing fixed, or I want to find a little something in there. Mea Banfa, and then I'm like, what if you do X, Y, Z? Then they're like, oh yeah, we can do that, you know.
Right.
So it's just they don't think outside the box. You got to do it for them.
You got to be persistent.
Yeah. Cool. So that's it then, I guess. Anything you'd like to tell our subscribers before we sign off?
Whether you got a banfa or whether you don't have, I at least hope that you learned a new Chinese phrase today, because we said it enough. And I also implore you to search your heart, search your feelings, and find the banfa, to go find that like button and comment.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to finish this off with a South African saying, which is a boer maak 'n plan, which means a farmer makes a plan.
Okay.
And basically that's what we use to say it's the opposite of Mea Banfa. It's when you are faced with an almost impossible task. Let's just say, I don't know, your car's broken down and your radiator bust and your fan belt came off and stuff. Instead of saying like, oh man, like Mea Banfa, you're like, a boer maak 'n plan means, you know, I'm gonna make this work, and you'll go and you'll find some vine off a tree or something, and you know, you'll fix it, you know what I mean?
Jungle Book style.
Exactly. So I've got a completely opposite mentality towards this Mea Banfa thing, and that's why it frustrates me so much.
No, and it's a very good thing to talk about. It's a very good thing to understand if you're going to come here, as it can be frustrating, but there's always a way to deal with it.
Yeah, and there is always a way in China.
Of course.
So,
if any country had banfas, it is China.
Yeah.
You know.
We know. So, guys, whether you are a person who makes a plan or not, we love you all the same, and until next time, you know the drill. Stay awesome.